Hi everyone, Sandy here. Welcome to my channel. This is for a remake of the base of this album. So what happened is this was a pre-made album by Uniquely Creative from Country Craft Creations that they had added into their store, and they sent me one for this project, for my design team package, for my design team project. And unfortunately, we didn't realize that the album was being discontinued, so there was not a way to restock the store, the online store, for the number of you that wanted to make this album. So what I'm going to do is remake a base so that you can make this album from the Country Craft Creations paper, The World of Oz, if you want to make the exact same album that I did. Now I'm going to make the base in this video, just the base, so you can use it for this or any album you want. I am going to be finishing mine in the new Graphic 45 Curiouser and Curiouser collection that I will have received by the time I need to go ahead and make this. So there are a couple of things I'm going to do different. I'm going to make the base album just like this one. I'm going to make the add-ins that I did. The only thing that I'm going to change is this was an L-hinge album. I'm still going to do an L-hinge, but it has a 3/8 inch space between pages. I'm going to add in a 1/2 inch because I feel, as you can see, mine kind of has a little lift here, and then when I add photos, it's going to make it even bigger. So to do that, I'm going to make a bigger spine. This one has a 2-inch wide spine. I'm going to make it, the base one that I'm making for this, what am I going to do? 3¼ inch spine. So that is the difference on mine. I just think it'll work out better for us if we do that. If you want to keep it at the original and keep this at 2, you can certainly do that. Just cut yours as 2 inches wide, and you would have to change your hinges to 3/8 instead of a 1/2 inch that I'm going to be doing. So that's where we're at right now. You need 2 sheets of the heavyweight chipboard. I've already cut mine. You need 2 12x12s. I'm going to move this out of the way. So we're going to make the cover first. You need 2 each that are 8¼ by 10¼ That's the size of that album. It was 8¼ by 10¼ And then the spine that I'm going to do is you need one that is 3¼ by 10¼ So I'm going to get my cardstock cut, and I'll come back and we'll get started on the album. I am using the 12x12 black artisan cardstock to wrap my cover, to make my pages, so that it's also going to be different from the original, which was done in craft. If you want yours in craft, then go ahead and use craft cardstock instead. Same measurements, but I'm going to be doing this one in black. Okay, so I have my cardstock cut. I'll give you those measurements in a second. We already had the chipboard cut. I gave you that. So you need your scoreboard and a mat. Just makes it easier. Your L spacers from Country Craft Creations. If you don't have those, there's also the 12x12 spacers. This is the 1 inch and 1½. This is the 1 inch and 1 inch that I'm using. These are great for making your album covers. If you don't have these, you can cut you 2 chipboard ones. You need one that's 12 inches by 1 inch and one that is, or 2 of those, and then you need one extra one that is a 1½ by 12 inch. But I love these. It's a great investment. I'll try to remember to link them down below. These are the L ones. I really like them, or you can pick up the ones that are 12 inches long. I've also have my art glitter glue. I use the refill, and I put it into this little dispenser here. I tore off the silicone lid that wrapped around the lid because it kept getting in my way, and I added a clip so I don't lose it. So we have that ready. Bone folder. I have pre-cut my score tape sheet. So let me give you the measurements of what I'm using here for the supplies. You're going to need 4 sheets of the 12x12 artisan cardstock and 1 8½ by 11 score tape sheet, because I highly recommend that, or you're going to need to use several strips of yeah, several strips of score tape to do that. So first of all, since this is an 8 1/4 by 10 1/4 cover, we need to wrap this, but we can't get a 12 full 2 inches, so it's going to be a little more narrow. So I cut 2 of these that are 10 1/4 by 12 to do the wrapping. So it's going to be a little short on one side for the wrapping, but that's still going to work. Then we need for the spine section, we need one that is 6 1/4 by 12. Cut that. Then for the inside support piece, we need one that's 7 1/4 by 10 1/4 and a score tape sheet, score sheet that matches, that is 7 1/4 by 10 1/4 for that. I'm going to set this one aside for now. And we're going to work on the album covers first. So we need the 1-inch spacers. We put your your cardstock into your scoreboard with the mat, and then you put your spacers on top. Okay. Now, some people like to use score tape or score sheets or score tape for this. I just use glue. Yes, you can probably see the lines once you put it on, glue it down. I burnish as well as I can, but I sometimes still see lines, but I'm okay with that because I'm going to be adding patterned paper and probably another mat. So I do take my glue on one of these pieces, and you're going to see it's a little shorter on one side or the other, but it'll work out fine. So put your glue down onto your chipboard, especially around the edges. Now I would refer you to a video on making your covers, but since this is for the base of this album, I'm going to go ahead and show it again here on this video. So place this down, butt this up at the top and the side, burnish it down, flip it over, and then burnish the other side really well. I'm using the flat side of my bone folder to burnish this down, which does help eliminate some of the lines. And then I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. Do the other side exactly the same. I'm going to do that off camera. What I'm doing now is the hinge. So put this piece, your 6 1/4 by 12 in. You're going to put the 1 inch at the top, the 1 1/2 here on the side. And then I'm going to lay my piece here. So I'm going to glue this down. Butt it in. That gives us a 1 1/2 on each side and approximately 1 inch at the top and the bottom. It's a little short because we did not have the extra 1/4 inch that we needed, but that's okay. We still have enough to wrap. So we burnish that. We don't need this one anymore. Flip it over, burnish to get this flattened out and the glue spread out. Okay, so we're going to let those dry. I'm going to go ahead off camera, do my other piece, and also put my score tape on my inside spine support. Okay, so we have our chipboard pieces on. Let's do the covers first. And you'll see that this one's a little shorter here, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is stand this up, bend it over on all 4 corners onto itself. Some people like to just take on their scoreboard or take a scoring tool and score those. I just fold mine. Do it on both of them. Just stand up the chipboard, fold it over on all 4 sides. Okay, like that. Okay, so now that we have that folded, you can either cut out the corners or do an angle cut. I do an angle miter cut about an 1/8, well not an 1/8, but a 1/16 of an inch from the tip of the chipboard. You want some cardstock remaining. You have a little bit right there on the corner. I just do an angle. You can cut the corner out instead if you prefer. I just happen to like, I've always done an angle, and that's what I prefer. So either way is fine. However you like to miter your album, the corners on your album. You do have to miter though somehow by either cutting out the corner or at an angle. This is what I do on pockets as well. So I just do them all the same. So now I'm going to take this and burnish along the chipboard here and get it folded over pretty good. It already folded it once, but it just kind of makes it fold over on that chipboard like that. So I've done the sides. I'm going to go ahead and glue these down. So I put a line of glue along the chipboard onto the cardstock, and then glue on the rest of my flap. If you prefer to use score tape, that works fine. Whichever you prefer, I just use glue. It's more economical, especially when you're making a lot of albums. And then I burnish it right here. May get some glue out, and that's fine. The other side, glue on the cardstock up against the chipboard. Fold it over, burnish it down. I usually start in the center and then work my way out, back and forth, so that it catches. So sometimes I don't have any glue coming out, and that's okay. Okay, so once you've done that, I'm going to do the same on these. Fold them over, get them burnished. Now then, you're going to see, if you look at it, if you're doing the angle cut, you're going to see a little bit of that end paper sticking out. Well, what you want to do is open this back and burnish that little piece of paper in right up against that chipboard, and fold that paper, that little nub of paper in, just like that. You're going to burnish it in, kind of cover that end there, and then that's going to fold over. So you see this one's a little shorter, but it still wraps. It's going to be fine when we put our paper on. So add your glue. Now if you are using score tape instead of the glue, you still need to put glue right here along that edge though, that fold. It's just a good idea to go ahead and do that with glue. So see there, it's wrapped. Other side. Burnish it down. And this will be one side of our cover wrapped. I'm going to do the other one off camera right quick, and then we'll do the hinge, the spine section. So this is what it looks like when you have one wrapped. Okay? And if you want to do that in craft, that would be fine, and that would make it like the original album. So I have the two covers wrapped. I have those two. Now I'm ready to do my spine section. Again, it's a little shorter than normal. It would be usually 1 inch on both ends, but that's okay. I'm going to fold this up. I'm going to stand it up like we did the cover, just on the ends for now. I'm going to burnish that over. Okay, now then, on the end here, I'm going to put glue on the end of my chipboard like I did on the cover, a little bit here on this side, and then all the glue here on the flap that we folded over. And then we're going to use the bone folder and fold it over and burnish right here. Get it attached down. Then I really burnish up against the chipboard to get it flat in there against it, and flatten this out. Same thing on the other side, really flatten it out. Press really hard and get that burnished in against that chipboard. You want this to be where you can see the chipboard groove right there and right there. So I just burnish, 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 burnish those out. Oh, glue comes out. I'm going to wipe that off. Okay, and then do the other side the same way. Glue along the chipboard onto the cardstock, a little bit on the edge here, about an inch on this one. Now I do my glue here. I'm wrapping the ends of this spine piece so that it will be finished right here on the edge. Burnish in there, flatten this out. I'm getting a lot of glue coming out, so I need to wipe that off. Right in there, get it really flattened. Okay, so now we have it securely flattened there. I'm going to press this glue out here. Okay, now then, what I do is I take my scissors and put it up against where this chipboard is, right here, put the base of the scissors there, and barely trim off a sliver, just like that. On each side. Some of the designers, you will see that they cut theirs off before they glue it down. For me, this is what works good for me, so I don't have any gaps. Right there. Now then, we need to work on this side pieces. We're not going to glue anything down. We can fold this over. You can stand it up like that. This is where your cover is going to be bending. This is, you don't do any gluing. This is just getting it trained to fold back and forth. So I even fold it backwards on itself and actually burnish like that. Here. And then back over. This is training it. I'm using artisan cardstock. That's what you want, is artisan, so that you don't have any cracking. Then I open it up. Like that. You can see the raised part of your chipboard. Go ahead and get me a nice clean channel here up against it. Like that. Okay, so now we're ready to put the covers onto the spine. We're going to take it like this. I'm going to put a line of glue about 1/8 of an inch away from the channel, as straight as I can. I can't do a completely straight line. And then glue on the rest of this flap on the finished side. Just like this. Now we take the cover like this. The unfinished side goes down onto the finished side of the spine. I'm going to butt it up to the channel. Right like that. Lay it down flat, and then I'm going to burnish that. This is attaching the cover to the spine. Now we carefully flip it over and burnish this other side here. Like that. I'm not going to bend anything. I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to flip it back to where we have this wing here. Get my chipboard piece ready. So glue about 1/8 of an inch from the channel or the groove there. Now I finished filling in glue here on the wing part of the spine. I'm not skimpy with the glue. I want to make sure it glues on good. Okay, take the cover, line it up to that channel so that it's even top and bottom. Burnish it down. Really pressing. You can't tell on the camera, but I'm really pressing on that. Then I carefully lift it up, flip it over, and burnish. So I'm going to take a few minutes, a few seconds or so, and let that dry. And then we will put our support piece in, which I have already added score tape on one side, like this, and it should fit about 1/2 inch over the edge of this wings. Center it and top to bottom within my cover here, top to bottom. So like here and here, just a hairline of it visible or in from the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pokey tool and pull this backing off so that the sticky's exposed. Go ahead and take the whole thing off. Okay, and then right here on the edge, I have a little bit that was exposed with no sticky, so I'm putting a little bit of glue right there because I want to make sure it stays stuck, because I got mine off a little bit. Just a little bit of glue here in the corner. Okay, I think that's enough. Maybe a little bit right there. Okay, so we're going to flip this over carefully, and we're going to center this, like I said, about 1/2 an inch off the wings, and we want to make sure the ends are lined up here and here, and then we burnish that down. Now the reason I use score tape sheet is I don't want any buckling. If you were to use glue, you would have to burnish and let it dry really well before folding your album. You don't want any bubbling when you fold this book. So I like to use the score tape sheet in this instance, or solid strips of score tape in with the glue. So I'm really burnishing it. Now I'm going to turn it. I'm going to gently lift my cover here so I can see my line, the fold, and I'm going to burnish in with that fold line while I bring my cover up. Very gently. Use the rounded part of your bone folder, not the pointy part or the sharp part. You want a bone folder that's really rounded, and get that in there like that. You don't want to poke through your cardstock. I've got a little bit of glue right there. I'm going to wipe off. Flip it around to the other side. Same thing. I got to gently pull it up so I can see where the fold is, and I'm going to start burnishing as I lift the cover up. Okay, now they're ready to be brought together. This has got a really wide spine, but you can see your lay flat spine method here. You're not going to have any cracking because you actually have a space here on that. So just gently fold it over on each side. Now I can flatten it down with no problem. See, like that, and then like that. And that makes a lay flat cover just like that, so we can add our patterned paper and everything. And we've got it going like that. So that looks really good. So that is the cover. I know it looks funny like this because it's got an angle here because it's really wide here, but as we put all our pages and things in, it's going to be bringing it up and it'll work really good for us. So there is the album cover. So next section we will do our pages and get those in the book. We'll make our base pages like the ones that were in the other book. The next thing we're going to do is finish the inside cover here with cardstock. Now, if you're going to be adding pattern paper and decorating yours right away, you don't have to do this step. But if you're wanting to make it look like the pre-made album, then we're going to go ahead and cover this on the inside. Now, I am using the black cardstock. You could use the craft if you wanted to. So I cut two that are just slightly like a sliver under the 8 1/4 by 10 1/4 size to make sure that it doesn't hang out. So just put this in at 8 1/4, back it off just a hair, and then cut. And the same with this one, the other direction, put it in at 10 1/2 and back it off, 10 1/4, and then back it off just slightly and cut. So we have two of these, so you need 2 full sheets of cardstock to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these on. I'm going to do one and then do the other off camera, but so that you can see. I'm putting a good amount of glue along the perimeter here so it doesn't lift up. You could use score tape sheets again if you wanted to. I am just going to go ahead and use glue because this is going to be covered with patterned paper in the end anyway. So just make sure you line it up right against the edge here and at the top and the bottom, so it should fit real well within that area. And I did get some glue on there, but that's okay. I'm going to be able to rub it off. So you burnish this really well using the flat side of my foam folder to burnish, and my hand. Go ahead and get that down, and then I'll go ahead and do the other side. So as you can see, if you lift it up, it doesn't extend out, so that just covers the inside there. Really nice finished book. Okay, so I have both of these covered on the inside. This is the inside of the album, and the correct measurement is 8 1/4, just slightly under 8 1/4, just slightly under 10 1/4. I think I said it wrong earlier, so that you can completely cover that. Nothing's hanging out, so that looks really good. So that's the album cover, and now we are ready to start on our pages. So what I'm going to do is do the pages and the flaps like they came in the original Uniquely Creative album. Of course, I did change the spine, so remember that. I've changed the spine width, so my hinges and spaces or in between pages are going to be a little wider than the original album. And then after that, I will go back and show you the add-ons that I did for the World of Oz album, because like here, I added this pocket, I added these flaps to the base pages. So we'll do that after we have all the basic done. Then we'll go back and add the bonus add-ins on that. First, we're going to do 5 base pages. Now, these did not have any kind of pocket sleeves for inserts. They're just regular base L-hinge pages. So I'm going to make 5 of these, and you want to use 5 sheets of cardstock of the 12 by 12 artisan cardstock. Cut 5 that are 8.5 by 10. So I have them here on in my book here, and I also have the sticky note that I had. So I have 5 pre-cut, and we're going to score all 5 the same. So you put them in your book and score, put the 8.5 inch at the top and score at 1/2 inch on all 5. This will give us 8 by 10 size pages. So I'm going to really quickly do that on this. 8.5 at the top, score at 1/2 inch on all 5. Okay, so let's move this out of the way, and we're going to take them, and you're going to fold and burnish on all of them. So I'll fold on the bump and burnish really well with your bone folder. Then flip it, burnish the other way, because these are hinges. We do want them to be able to bend. So I do it front, backwards, and then again. So there's page 1. So go ahead and do that same thing on all of them. Fold on the bump of your score line, burnish, flip it backwards again, and bring it back. This is going to make your hinge fold so much better. And also L hinges pages, I highly recommend the artisan cardstock, so that you don't have any cracking and tearing of your hinges once you put them in your book. Okay, next we'll put these in the album cover. So we have all 5 ready to go. Once you have your base pages scored, folded, and burnished, you're ready to put them in the album cover. So open your cover back to the inside. I'm going to turn mine so that it is sideways, so I can see it a little better this way. Okay, I'm going to use glue, art glitter glue. I have my bone folder to burnish with. You put the pages straight into the spine. We're doing this just like if we were doing a base without any pattern paper picked out yet. So I'm looking at this. So this is the cover. Is 10 1/4 long, and the pages should be 10. Okay, so that means I have a 1/8 of an inch give on the top and the bottom. Now normally if I were making this album, I would have made my pages the same height as the album cover, because that's just the way I like them. But I'm making this to be like the Uniquely Creative album, so we're doing that. But I have made my spine, instead of 2 inch, I have made it 3, and I have made the hinges 1/2 inch instead of 3/8. So if you want it exactly like the Uniquely Creative book, you would make your spine 2 inches here, and you would cut your hinges down to 3/8. But I'm using the full 1/2 inch. And on the first one, this is the front cover. The first one is going to be spaced a 1/2 inch from the front cover. You don't want to go over your cover space. So I'm going to actually turn this probably so I can look at it a little better even. Lift it up. just that here on the side, I want to make sure. Okay, so I'm going to fold this back. I'm going to put glue on the 1/2 inch hinge all the way down. The entire area, and I'm going to just kind of drag it. Once I put some down, I'm going to just kind of drag my tip without adding any extra. Okay, so we've got that on. We're going to put this 1/2 inch right up against the fold here. I'm going to kind of hold this up. Hope I'm not getting too noisy here. And drop it down. Make sure it's about a 1/16 of an inch from the top and the bottom. And I'm eyeballing it because it is such a small amount, but I want my first one pretty even here, right along. And I'm just making sure it is not into the fold of the album. So I burnish it with my bone folder, wipe off any glue here that I have gotten into the groove here, and I burnish it. But you can see I kept it pretty straight here, and I'm going to burnish it, fold it up, just like that. So that's the first page, and it is a 1/2 inch from the inside cover, which is different than the original one. I'll show you. It was only 3/8, but I like the 1/2 inch in between, especially when you add extra elements into your book. So we fold this one down. Now we've got the next one that's coming. Again, it's going to be a 1/2 inch from the first page. So you want to make sure that you're putting the cut edge of your hinge right up against the back fold of the one that you've already put in. So again, I fold it and put my glue on. If you've never done an L hinge, this is a good example of one. Now you put this in, make sure it matches up, and it matches here and here, and just kind of push it in with my fingers, and then I just check my pages. It's kind of hard looking at the black on black. Let me move this up so you can see. So see, these are straight, lined up, black on black, and I burnish it. Right in here, and then bring it down. So now we do another one again. The cut edge of the 1/2 inch goes along the cut edge, the fold edge of the last page. So fold this back, put my glue on. You could use score tape, but I have had score tape come loose. Depending on where you live and your humidity level, I highly recommend art glitter glue as your permanent attachment for things like hinges, and pages, and flaps. Well, everything. I use it for everything. So line it up, press it down. Like I said, it's really hard to see, to make sure you're lined up. Press it down and get it burnished in there. And check my pages. Yep, they're good. I got some glue out right there. I'm going to clean that up real quick. Don't want that, and I'm going to burnish this. Got some glue right there I don't want. Probably going to get covered up, but I'm going to burnish that. So now we're ready for the next one. And I hope I figured my spine out right. That's a terrible thing to say right now. Probably got maybe too big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. Oh yeah, okay. They have a little extra on the back, and that's going to be okay. I know that it needed to have been 3 1/8, and I cut it 1/8 bigger because cutting eighths can be hard with your chipboard, and I didn't want y'all to have to do that. So I did make it a little, 1/8 of an inch wider than it really needed to be, but that's okay. Just going to have a little bit extra on the back. So this one's going to line up here. Again, the cut edge of the hinge goes into that fold where that one is. And I'm looking to make sure my sides are right. My pages lay right. Burnish this and this. Okay, so the last one is going to drop in, and you're going to see we have quite a bit of extra space back. So I add my glue. I'm going to give this a little more space right there because I have the extra room. So I backed this one off about 1/16 of an inch from the fold of the last page. Clean my glue up. Make sure it stayed straight though, and burnish that. So that gives me a good amount of space here in the back. About 3/4 of an inch more than 1/4 of an inch more than I needed, but it's okay as long as these pages all lay flat. This. There we go. They're all lining up good. Okay. So there's the pages in the book. There's the base pages. We have all 5 in there. And now we're going to add in the basic flaps and folds that were in the original Uniquely Creative album. And then I will go back in and add my bonus stuff that I added in for the World of Oz album. Okay, in the original Uniquely Creative 8x10 flip fold album, the first page did not have any added flaps. I added them in, but when you open up, so this stays plain, but when they opened up, you had flips, full page flips on page 2 and page 3. We're going to have to get some different colored paper here so we can see our areas here. But first of all, we're going to make 2 flaps. So you take 2 full sheets of artisan cardstock and cut 2 pieces that are 8.5 by 10. And we're going to put the 8.5 in at the top. I'm going to score it 1/2 inch. Do that on both of them. Score it 1/2 inch. Take your bone folder, fold on the score line, and burnish. Again, these are flaps that are going to be in open and closed, so I'm going to burnish it back and forth to make sure that it's trained to turn good. So we'll do that on both of them. And now I'm going to go get some colored cardstock in a contrasting color or lighter color so that I can use it to be able to see my pages. And then we'll put this on page 2 and page 3 of the book. Fold back page 1. And right in here's where these are going to go. here, and then on the other side as well. Okay, so let me go get some a different color cardstock so that we can see what we're doing. Okay, so I have some light cardstock here, 8.5 by 11. So I'm lifting up page 3 here, or which is actually the second page. We have 5 pages in here, so that we can see where this goes, and then this one underneath between the cover and page 1. So here's the first page, and then the second page right here. So that means page 1 is on the front, page 2, page 3. So this here is going to glue to the outer edge on the back side of page 1, which makes up our page 2. So we put the glue on your 1/2 inch, fold it under. So the fold goes along the outer edge of the page. Make sure it lines up top and bottom. Make sure it's straight. Burnish that down. So that's a full page flap right there, like the original book had. So it comes all the way over and opens like that. And then this one is going to glue to the what's considered page 3, which is the front of the second page that we put in the book. Put glue on your 1/2 inch. So the fold of this hinge goes on the outer edge of this page right here. Make sure the pages are lining up. And burnish. Wipe off any glue. Open it up. We got it off a little bit. Like I said, it is hard to see. Line it up right there. Okay. Clean up my glue here. And burnish. Okay, so there's that one on there. So we have that base, those 2 pages, we have the flips like we're in the original album right there. Next we will add the flaps to the page 4. So that page had a top flap, a full page top flap, and 2 gatefold flaps. So this piece here is an 8 inch by 10.5. So put your 10.5 at the top and score it a 1/2 inch. Okay, and then cut 2 pieces. Now cut that from a full sheet, and these are cut from another full sheet. Cut 2 that are 4.5 by 10, unless you have some scraps that will work for that. So check that first. But I did use a full sheet. So put your 4.5 in at the top and cut it down, score at a 1/2 inch. Now, what I did when I cut my 4.5, I backed it off just a little bit and cut it a little shorter, like just a hairline shorter than 4.5, to make sure that they meet in the book. So we'll dry fit it to make sure I've done that enough trimming for that before we actually glue them in. So we have those ready. So let's do the top flap first. So I already have mine turned to page 4. So let me show you real quick where we're at, okay? So you had, this is the inside cover. This is the page 1. Turn it. Page 2 has a full flap. Page 3 has a full flap. Turn it, and this is the back side, page 4 of what I call page 4. I'm going to put this paper in here so we can see where we're attaching, okay? So let's take our top flap where we scored it. A little room here. Get my glue ready to go. So we just fold and burnish that. Just like that. I am going to flip it back again and then back to where I wanted it. So this fits right at the top, right here. So I'm going to turn this so I can kind of see better. Right there. And it just fits. So glue on that 1/2 inch. Right here. Whoops. Make sure it stays on the 1/2 inch. Okay. Got a little there. Okay. Whoops. And then we're going to line it up on the top edge of the page, making sure everything stays straight and lined up properly with the top edge. Now if you're afraid this might catch some, you might trim some of that off and make it just a little smaller. I'm going to leave mine the way it is. I think it'll be okay, but that might be a good idea to do that and burnish that in there. Okay, so now we have the top. So let's take these 2 side ones, these gatefold flaps. We're going to fold and burnish them. Okay, there's one, and the other one. Let's dry fit these and make sure that they're not going to overlap. So one's going to go right on this edge. And the other one goes on the other edge. And it's hard to see with this black on black, but I think they're going to fit okay. So I'm going to go ahead and go with it. So I'm going to do the one on the outside first. So make sure I line up on the edge with the bottom down here. And make sure it doesn't go over that flap there at the top. Just got to make sure everything lines up good. Okay, go ahead and burnish that one. Clean off that glue. Okay, now the other one's going to go here on the inside. So let me see if I can turn it where I can see a little bit better. Now if you wanted to, you could have mitered the ends of these. I just typically don't. Where it's going over this one, it might have helped to eliminate a little bit of bulk there. But I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. So make sure it stays on the page here. You don't want it into that fold area. So there's enough space. There is a little bit of space in there, and that's good. Just going to make sure this one folds over it, and I'm going to burnish it down. I think I've got it lined up pretty good there. And burnish on the inside. So there's not too terribly a lot of bulk there, but like I said, if you angle cut that, you could eliminate that a little bit. So that goes like this. and that is page 4. Okay, so now we're going to skip to page 9. Now what I did a little bit different than what the original Uniquely Creative one had, I added an extra page in here with this 1/2 inch, with this gusset here. Originally it had only 4 pages in the book, the original album, and they attached a full sheet flap here and one here, and then I made those double pocket here for this one. I felt if we had extra space in here, we'd be doing better. So I did add this extra page in here. So when you count your pages, where we're at, we're going to have, in this one, the inside cover, page 1, page 2 with a full page, page 3 with a full page, page 4 with the up and to the side. Page 5 has nothing on it. Page 6 had nothing on it. Can't even get those flipped up. Page 7 and 8 had nothing on it because that was that extra one I added in. And this is page 9. So page 9 has a side flap right here. So let me get the scoreboard. This one particular one, for a full page flap for page 9, I cut 8.5 by 10. So I put the 8.5 in at the top and I score at a 1/2 inch. Okay. As you can see, it's pretty easy to add all these full page flaps. So if you wanted to add more into yours, well, you certainly could. I'm following along with pretty much what was in the original album, and then I'm going to go back after I finish this and I'm going to add in the things that I did for the World of Oz album. So this one goes on this side to the right. So let me grab my piece of paper to see where we're at. Put that under there. So page 9, and this goes right there on that side. So let's do the glue. We're almost finished with the basic add-ons, the way the original album was, with our added extra width in here and our one extra page to just give us some more room. Oops, I stuck my finger right there in the glue. Okay, so line this up. Sure it's straight. Burnish it down. And there's that extra page flap for page 9. Now we flip it to the back and we're going to have a pocket added on the back of page 10, which is opposite of the inside back cover, and that's the way it was in the original book. They did have a pocket there. So grab, I think I cut this from a scrap. If not, just check and see what you've got. So you need to cut this a 9, page 10. I'm on the wrong page, yes. Let me turn my book. Page 10. I did have to cut it from a full sheet because I was running out of big enough scraps, because this is a wider pocket. So if you cut one that's 9 by 4.5, we're going to put the 9-inch in at the top, score at a 1/2, and at 8.5, turn and score your 4.5-inch side at 4. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and miter cut these corners right where the intersection is of the lines. Fold up our pocket. Now the original album pocket did have a notch, half circle notch in the pocket. I didn't use that in my World of Oz album. I ended up covering that up. So I am not going to add that to this basic album construction. If you want that notch, you certainly can do that. So this goes right here on the bottom. I'm just dry fit to make sure everything works, and it does. And so I'm going to put the glue on just the bottom one first so I can add that tape, because that really helps to keep things from snagging in the pocket. So line up the bottom here, just like we were going to attach it all. And well, I didn't get it burnished enough. It flopped right off. So line it back up. Has plenty of glue. Press that down. Off down here. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to burnish. Pull it back and burnish the thing. There we go. Now the tape. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put my pocket in, because we'll be able to put our paper in just fine. I want this album pretty much assembled for you. So you can go ahead and use it for the World of Oz collection if that's what you're working on, or any other paper collection that you might want to use on yours. Okay, so we burnish the sides there. And there's our pocket on the back of page 10. So this is the way the album was if you bought it, except that I did make the bigger spine, added the wider gussets. So this was how, if you got the Uniquely Creative album, if you were to have been able to buy it before it discontinued, how it was laid out, except that it did have the 3/8 inch little spaces, gussets here between the pages. But this is it. This is your basic album. So if you're wanting to use it for a different project and add in your own special additions, well, this is the end for you right here. So you do have an album to work with. But now I'm going to move into adding my extra things that I did, like I did in the World of Oz album, and get this ready for when I start adding patterned paper. And some of them I may not attach in. I may just use paper clips or temporary to hold them in to get them ready for the patterned paper. So this concludes the construction, the making of a base album following the Uniquely Creative design of their 8x10 flip album. Okay, now we're going to continue on, and I'm going to show you or give you the measurements for the pieces that I added into the World of Oz album, which I'm going to also add into this album and use it with the Curiouser and Curiouser paper collection from Graphic 45. So for page 1, we need these extra cardstock pieces. We need a 5.5 by 6 and a 6.5 by 10. These make the little flaps that I added on to page 1. So the 5.5 by 6 5.5 by 6, this one right here. Put the 5.5 in at the top. Reading my own notes, and score at a 1/2 inch. So this makes the top short side flap. And then you needed a 6.5 by 10, and we're going to score the 6.5, put that in at the top, at a 1/2 inch also. So this makes the flap on the right side. Okay, so let's move this out of the way, and we'll burnish these and glue them on, because these can be glued on and then add your pattern paper later. So let's get this one done. Okay, that's the left one, and this one is for the right. Okay. So grab the book. flip it open. So this is page 1, because page 2 does have a flap. So like this. So we're going to put one here. Let's put the long one on first to the right side. I'm going to lay out my paper here so I can see. So glue on my 1/2 inch. And today, as I'm filming this, or doing this part of the tutorial, we're having thunderstorms. So every now and then you may hear a rumble of thunder. Okay. We haven't had rain in weeks and weeks, maybe the whole month. And so it's great that we're getting rain now, because we really needed it. So make sure you're lining this up good. Got some glue that is oozing out the side here. Okay, I'm going to have to clean up. I did that, but that's what a Teflon folder is good, a bone folder is good for. It will help clean with that too. So burnished it really well, because we do have a flap on the opposite side. So we need to make sure that it lays down really good. Okay, so that's the one on the right. And then this one goes over it, and it kind of centers. I just eyeball it. So the glue on the little 1/2 inch hinge back here. And then this one lays on the page. Make sure you are not over the hinge of the page. So if you want to like leave a little of a hairline space, that works great, so that it folds good. And burnish that in. Okay, so there's page 1. So we'll flip over here to page 2. We have some things we're going to do, and it will not glue down into the book yet until we do the decorating. But I'm going to go ahead and flip to that. Page 2 is our little angle cuts, the flat little angle cut pockets. So let's grab those for page 2 and 3, which we also have a pocket, 2 pockets in there. So we got this. Okay. Now then, I'm going to probably paper clip those in. So let me grab some extra paper clips here. Okay, so you cut 4 by 4 squares, and we're going to do an angle cut. So from the top edge on each one, I'm going to move this out of the way. On one edge, you make a tick mark at, am I in the camera? No. So I'm just going to do it here on the side. I'm going to move it up here where I can see with my grid. So I'm going to make 1 1/2. I'm going to make a tick mark on one side on all 4 of them. So you can use a ruler, your grid, 1 1/2 right there. One 1.5 inches. And one more. So do a tick mark on each one at 1 1/2, just on one side. Okay, so I've done that. Now I'm going to take my trimmer here, bring this over. I don't even have to open it up. So this would be at the top. You put the tick mark there and the point on the cutting line, right like that. So there's the tick mark, there's the point, and we're just going to cut that off. You really don't need these. You can just throw these away. We just wanted this angle like that. They're all going to be done the same. So add the tick mark but you want the corner furthest away from your tick mark. So angle right there, and cut. Okay, so we're doing 4 of these, and again, we do not attach them into the book until we've added the patterned paper. Last one. This is really all you do on these. They don't have attachment hinges on the back. They're just like flat little large corners, or pocket type, or placeholders, I guess you would say. Okay, I moved that one, so I've got to redo it. Okay, so there's those 4. If you left any pencil mark, just erase those. Okay, I will show you where they go, and again, I'm going to stress, do not attach them down, because I did that in my World of Oz, and yeah, I had to lift everything up. So like one goes here on this flap. Is that how I did it? Can't even remember. Yeah. So it goes on the flap. So I'm going to attach it so I know where it goes. That page. So it would be glued on each side. And then we have one that goes up here like this. And on the other flap, we have one that goes opposite, kind of like this. And then this one goes down here. With the angle like that. Okay, so that's where they go. I just clip them in so I know where they go. They don't get lost, hopefully. And now I'll do these pockets. So you need 2 for the pockets that are 3.5 by 9. And these are regular pockets, so put your 9 in at the top. And I lost my scoring tool. Hang on, guys. Is it under my book? No. Okay. There. It's right there in front of me. 9" at 1/2. 8.5. Turn and score at 1/2" on your short side. Same way here. The 9 in, score at 1/2". 8.5. Turn, score on the short side at 1/2". Okay. Then we're going to miter the corners, just like we always do, right across where the little intersections are. And it's a rainy day. I like to craft or watch mystery movies, or crime movies. Today I am crafting. Okay, so go ahead and burnish those. So we have 2 pockets that go under our flaps. I don't punch the edges of these. You can if you want to. If you want to do a thumb punch, you can. Okay, so we get these ready to glue in. I'm going to go ahead and glue them in. Or if you want to wait and do your pattern paper, you can do that too. So these open up here. And one goes here on this side. So what I'm going to do for me is I'm going to glue the bottom hinge and then leave it loose on the sides. I can add my pattern paper and then glue these sides down. So here on this bottom, I'm just going to add the glue just on the bottom one and attach it down right along the bottom. Make sure it is not over your hinge part. Make sure it's even on the bottom down here. This is where it's gluing, but you can check your sides as well. So burnish that, open it up, and then I will go ahead and add my tape. So that's already done. This is not to hold it in, but to keep that seam from getting snagging. So then this will glue up like that. Okay, so now we do this side the same way. Glue on just the bottom. Okay, open it up and burnish, and the tape. Okay, so there's our pockets in. That one's too long. I'm gonna lift that up and trim that tape off just a little bit. Don't want it showing. Okay, so then when we glue it back, glue those down, that will be ready. So these are ready for adding our patterned paper. So that's page 2 and 3 on that. So flip over page 3, and on the back side is page 4 with this top flap and these gatefolds. The only thing I added in was a magnetic closure here, like this. So this piece here on page 4 is a 3 3/8 wide by 4 1/2 tall. Now if you want to wait and make sure you know what size cut apart you're going to have, you can wait on that. So I'm thinking I will probably wait on mine just to be sure. It may be different. So you would put a magnet here and here to, well, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and put mine on because I'll just cut something to fit. This way I know I've done it. So I need 2 sets. Sorry about the loud truck, if you can hear that. That's the neighbor's teenager next door. He has a truck now, and it's kind of noisy when he leaves, I assume for work or what have you. So I'll punch these out, and they want to go back home. And they attach themselves to the package again. 3 of them did. Come on, guys. Well, there's me 4. Okay, put this guy back up. Sorry, you don't get to go here. Okay, so we have 2 sets. So on the back of this little closure thing, I'm going to put a magnet on each corner, kind of in a ways so that it can be covered by paper. And I'm going to use glue. These do come, these are the tonic magnets. They do come with the clear sticker tabs adhesive, but I just use the glue and tape over them. That way I don't have to try to peel that off. So this just goes like this. A lot of tape there I didn't need, but okay, so that secures those. Now I drop the other magnets down on them. Okay, grab the book where the gatefolds are going to be, and I'm thinking here, yeah, right here on the outside. So to find my position of where the glue goes, I'm going to put a little glue in the center of each magnet here, and I'm going to press this down, and I'm going to kind of eyeball it in the center. I think that works. Press those down and let those dry, and then I will put tape on them. When I lift it up, just make sure it is as straight as you want it before they get set. So that's going to be the closure piece for page, what did I say, page 4. Just did page 4. Page 5, I didn't add anything to that. Flip it. Page 6, I added a pocket. So I have cut one piece out of a scrap that is 8 7/8 by 3 1/2. 8 7/8 by 3 1/2. I made it 1/8 of an inch smaller to accommodate this page. So hopefully we'll see if it still works. Yeah, that's what I had to do on the original album. So on your 8 7/8 side, score at 1/2 inch. Turn it. Score on the short side at 1/2 inch. This was cut out of scraps. If I need to, I can cut another one. And the other 1/2 inch on the other end of the long side. Let's miter cut those corners. Fold and burnish. Check to see how it fits on the page. Let me put a white sheet underneath. Yeah, that works good because you just have to back it off just a tiny bit. We didn't want it getting into there. So this one again, I'm just going to put it on the bottom, attach it on the bottom, and leave the sides unattached until the pattern paper is added. So this is going to go right here, right across that bottom. Bring it back, burnish it, make sure it didn't lift up where I didn't want it to, right there. Okay, tape. Okay, so that is page 5. No, page 6, sorry. Page 5 didn't have anything. Page 6, no add-ons on 7 or 8. And now we're ready to move on to page 9 right here, which has the flap like this. Okay? For the flap on page 9, this page 9 is, you've got your back cover here, you got a page with a pocket here, and then you have 9. Page 9 has a flap. I'm going to do that double pocket with magnetic flap closures here on the top of this flap, and then on the inside is where a pop-up element goes. So I have cut my cardstock, page 9. I used one sheet of 12 by 12, 2 sheets 12 by 12, and a scrap for these guys. So 1, 2 sheets and the scraps. So you need 2 that are 6 by 7.5, 2 that are 7.5 by 5, and 2 that are 5 by 2.5, and they all need scoring. So let's get the scoreboard going. Okay, so the first one is the 6 by 7.5. Put your 7.5 in at the top and score at 1/2 inch. All right, yes, turn, put your 6 in at the top and you score at 1/2 and 5.5, like that. You're going to do the same on both pieces. So the 6 inch in at the top, I scored at 1/2 inch, 5.5, turned it to the long side and just scored at 1/2 inch on that 7.5 inch side. So there's those. Then I had the flaps. This is the pockets. The flaps, the 2 7.5 by 5. You're going to score the 7.5 inch side at just 1/2 inch. Right there. and 1/2 inch here. Okay, that's the flaps because it's a pocket with a flap that opens up. Then the closure flaps, the two 5 inch by 2.5, you're going to score your 2.5 inch side at just 1/2 inch. Both of those. And I am going to round the corners on these guys. Okay, I use the 10mm, which is the biggest, the two corners opposite of the score lines. And I'm going to double check. I don't think I did any corner rounding on anything else. Okay, there we go. Wrap those up. Let me look, make sure. I did do a notch on the pocket, so there's that guy right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and just fold and burnish everything. Get our 1/2 inch placements. These are the little closure flaps. So I'm scoring them both directions so that they know that they've got to open up and down. This is the flaps on the front. So they also need to be scored back and forth, or burnished back and forth. Burnish. Okay, like that. And then these guys are pockets. So down here where the corners intersect, we cut an angle on both of them. And of course we fold and burnish those. And you only have to go one direction on the burnishing for these. They all go the same way. To make those pockets. Now again, these I'm just going to attach down the bottom 1/2 inch until I get my patterned paper in, and I'll show you why just a second here. Okay. So let's take these guys and we can attach our flap to our pocket. Now let's do our notch. So here's our pocket. I'll turn it over so you can see the hinges. So this end here with no hinge. Yeah, I couldn't even think. So I'm going to center this and punch a notch right there on both pockets. Okay. Now then, we'll flip them over with the hinges folded under, and we take a flap and we're going to glue our flap right to the top of that pocket. It should completely cover that pocket up. So take my glue, make sure that's folded down, and attach this hinge right on top. Make sure they're squared up and burnish that. Okay, so that's a pocket with a flap on the top, on the front. Same thing with this one. So this is folded under. This one goes on top of that. So the glue on the hinge. And put it right here. Line it up. And burnish. Okay, so I've got just a tiny bit sticking over right there. I may have made mine cut it wrong. I'm just gonna trim a tiny bit off. Okay, that works. Let me see if this one's okay. Yeah, that one looks okay. All right, so grab the album. And these guys are going to fit on this flap. Get my paper here. Let's put it under the flap so we can see the edge of the flap. The hinge here is going to fit here like that. And we're just going to attach that one hinge, and I've got to make sure they fit. I think so. We're just going to attach this one until I do my patterned paper. Okay, so make sure it goes on the edge of the flap and along the bottom edge. Make sure it's straight. Ooh, I got glue everywhere. Yeah, it's on the edge. That's going to be covered up when it's closed up, so I was looking at why is that like that, but that's fine. So burnish, I'm going to add some tape on that again so that nothing gets hung up in there. Need another little piece right there. Okay, so that one folds down, and this will be glued down onto after you do your pattern paper, because I discovered that there's a gap here. So if we add a strip of pattern paper for the whole thing, then this little gap right up in here will be covered. Okay, so now this one, I'm going to turn this all the way around so we can put it on correctly. Okay, so the glue on the bottom edge. Well, it's raining. It's got kind of warm in here. I guess the humidity. Okay, so this one lines up right there. Okay, lift it up and burnish, and the tape. May have got too much tape that time. Oh, no, I didn't. There we go. Okay, so remember, what did I do? Put tape on the wrong place. Let me peel that up. I don't need that there. What was I thinking? Okay, the pocket part right here. Okay, we're right there. Okay. Now then, this is going to glue down, and these are flaps. Now we need the closures. Now I am not going to put the magnets on until I do my pattern paper, but I'll need to try to remember that. Do I have a white pen that's working? Let me see here. Magnet here, magnet here. So I'll see it. So we have these little flaps here, and they're going to glue along the edge over here onto the flap of the page, the main page flap, and hang over the pocket like that. So the magnet for this guy is going to go here underneath. Okay, so now I put the glue. This little guy, and he's going to fit right on the edge of the page there. Fit over the pocket edge. Right there, okay? Okay, that's where the magnet goes like that. The other side goes on the other one. Flip it around. Oops. And this one goes over here. See, that one's off just a little bit. I'm just going to snip that off right there. Okay, and my magnet will go here. Okay, so that's the pockets with the flaps for page 9. So this opens up, and in here is where we're going to put our pop and twist, which will have pattern paper goes over that. So next I'm going to show you how to arrange that, and we'll get that laid in there. We can't attach it down, but we'll get it laid in the book, so we'll have it ready to go. Next, we're going to make the pop and twist for the album. This is exactly the same as the one I made for the World of Oz album, but I'm going to show you again. Same size. What this really is a pop and twist card that you can make, and then you can put it in your album. So you need one piece of cardstock out of one full sheet, cut an 8.5 by 10 3/4. Put your 8.5 in at the top and score it 2 1/4. My board's dirty there. I need to clean that off. Okay, 2 1/4. Sorry, 4 1/4. And 6 1/4. So what that does is we have these 4 sections here. Now then turn it to your 10 3/4 side, and you're going to score at 3 7/8 and at 5 3/8 and 6 7/8. So now you're going to see we have equal on each side and these smaller ones in the middle. So let's set that aside while we score our other pieces. We're also going to cut one piece that's 2 3/4 by 10 1/2. Put the 10 1/2 in at the top, and you're going to score at 2 5/8. 2 1/2, 2 5/8. 5 1/4. 7 7/8. So that gives us 4 equal pieces here. Then we're going to take this one. This is your base. This is your 4 1/4 by 11. So put the 11 inch in at the top and score at 5 1/2, just like you would if you were making a card base. Okay, so we got that. This little bitty piece here, where did I do with it? Keep losing it. It's going to be the closure piece tab. In the World of Oz one, I used the blue cardstock instead of the same color as the base, but this one I'm going to do it in black. And this one is 2 1/4 by 1 1/4. You're going to score your 2 1/4 side at 1/4 inch, just a little bitty score here, and at 1/2. Okay, so we got that right there. Don't want to lose that. So let's put everything up. Let's take this piece here, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut out the four corners, 4 rectangles on each corner. So I'm just going to cut right along the score line and cut each one out. Okay. Okay, so now after we get this done, you can throw these little pieces away or save them if you think you might need them for matting tags or something. So those 4 we don't need for the project. Oh, I'm not done. I got only cut out 3. I got to cut out 1 more. No wonder it doesn't look right. Cut out all 4 rectangles on each corner. And you should have a piece now that looks like that. So with your, you got your shorter ones here. These are shorter than these long rectangle ones. So these are the ones to miter. I want you to skip over about 1/4 inch here on the bottom and angle cut up to the score line. So you cut off a bit like that. Turn it around, do this side over here, 1/4 inch, angle it into the score line. Now flip it over so we can do these others same way. It's just the short ones here, about 1/4 inch over and miter to the score line. And get the last one same way. And now we have it looking like that. So we cut out those, mitered out those wedges there. Now we're going to take this. Let's see here. We've got the score lines here in the middle. Goes all the way down right here in the score line here in the middle. See this short one right here? This score line, I want you to take it and roll it up and match it to where it fits this score line here. Make sure they're lined up perfectly. Press down with your finger, keeping that together. Press down and then burnish that out. Okay, so it looks like that. See how this line is matched up to that score line. Right there and right there. Open it up and we're going to do this side. Let's see, I always get it mixed up. That one's already done. This side over here, the other side. So take this one, roll it, match them up where they naturally match up easiest. Okay, press and burnish. So we have that where they meet in an X right there, almost perfectly on that other score line. It's a little off, but it's still okay. So we've got that like that. So now we have that. Take this piece and fold it in half till it looks like this. So we got it like that. We've got those fold lines in there. Open it up. Push down in the middle. So now it's pointing down, and these will fold in like this. So there's your mechanism for this. So I like to press it down, line it up, and then go ahead and burnish the roof line, if you will. So again, when you had it out like this, we folded these down burnished them good, open it up, then pull these wings up till they meet, close it down. That looks like a house roof. Burnish those lines right there. So that is our mechanism. I turn it over and get both sides burnished really well. So that is our pop-up arms mechanism. So next, let's take this piece and we're going to fold in the middle and burnish. So you have two pieces like that in half. Take this line here and fold it towards the center, lining them up. Got a little nubbin there on my paper I need to cut off. Okay, line them up, burnish, turn it over, take this one, fold to the center, and burnish. Okay, so now we have this shape. Okay, now let's go back over to here. We're going to put this onto this. So let's grab my glue, and this small square here that's got the angle cut, you want, the measurement of it is about 2 1/4. So I want to put glue on this far right end up to about 1 1/2. Bring it down, glue, solid glue right here. That's that top right section there. Then over here on this section, on the bottom of it, same thing on the far left, put your glue, bring it over to about 1.5 inches. Fill that all in with your glue, and it should look like that. Okay, take this piece with the V like this, place the V in the center fold here, hold it in place, and stretch out one side at a time. So see, I've got them lined up here and centered here and here. Press this one down, flatten it and press it down and burnish. This one to do the same, flatten it down, and burnish. Okay, so let's let that dry for a minute. While we do that, let's take our card base. It just has the one score line. We fold it in half and burnish. This would be a card base. This little one here, we just fold both the score lines. That's going to be our closure tab. We will add a piece to that. So this is what attaches down to our page, and then we put our magnetic closure there. So we're going to, after this is dried, we're going to pull this up in the center. And then let it fold in on itself, and that makes your mechanism. So this center one has to come up. So there we have it, popping up, twist and popping up. Okay, you can let that dry a little bit more if you want to. We can go ahead and put it in the card base. So open this up. This is going to glue down into the base with the point at the fold and the rest of it lined up in there. So glue just goes on this part here on one side. And like I said, you place this down in the center with the tip on the fold line. And I'm going to line up this base, get it as straight as I can. There we go, that's a little better. Kind of center it. because this is not the exact same size. It's got to be centered a little better. About about 1/8 of an inch on each side, I think. Yeah. And then that goes in there. Now we burnish it. So I'm going to flip it over, burnish the back side. Okay. So you can see the tip is in the fold. And this is about 1/8 of an inch on each side. Now we put glue on the rest, on the other side of our house. I just like to call it a house piece. Kind of looks like a house to me. Some people call it an arrow. Put glue on all this. Then close it down. Lining up your card base. And burnish. Let that dry. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paper clip these together, because we'll do all our adding our patterned paper when we do the book. But on your page 9, this is where this is going to go, underneath this flap, main flap. You got your doubles here. Open this up, and this is where this is going to go. And when you open it up, once it attaches down, it gives you that twist. Now we'll add patterned paper here, and then on this pop-up, and then this little closure piece. So I'm just going to take a big paper clip. I'm going to go ahead and fold that down. And I'm going to clip it to this page so that we'll have it in the book ready for when we start adding patterned paper. Okay, so that's where the pop and twist goes. That's that right there. Flip this over. We already have our pocket here. So next we're going to make the components for the front inside cover and the back inside cover. And this piece here, so I don't forget, we're going to build up a magnet here. Okay? So there we go. We're ready to do the inside front cover. Okay, so for the inside of the front cover, I'm going to make a pocket and then a angled pocket, which is deep enough to hold a large booklet. And so we cut 2 pieces of cardstock. Find this right quick. Wasn't prepared. I didn't turn the page. Okay, we need one that is 9 by 4.5, and we need one that is 4.5. Let's see. Cardstock. One that's 9 by 4.5, and the angle is 6 by 7.5. I seem to have wrote that down twice. Oh, that's page 10's pocket. Never mind. This one in here. One at 4.5 by 9, and then one at 6 by 7.5. Must be almost time to stop for the day. Okay. Scoreboard. So the 9 by 4.5 is a regular pocket. So we put the 9 in at the top, and I score at 1/2 inch and 8.5. Turn it to the short side, which is your 4.5, and score it just 1/2 inch. So that's the pocket. This one is a 6 by 7.5. We're going to score the 6-inch side at 1/2 inch, just like that. Now I put on there to score this away, but we don't. Pretty sure I did not. Let me double check. Yeah, there's no reason to score that. Just the one side. So I'm going to change that. You just score it on this side. I don't need that. Okay. Now we're going to angle cut it though. So first let's miter this pocket. This is a regular pocket, so miter the corners. Fold and burnish those. like this. This is probably going to be another one where I'm just going to attach it to the bottom and then do the rest later. So this one here, go ahead and fold and burnish your fold line. Then turn it over. And to do the angle on the top edge, we're going to mark it at 3.5 from the top. So I'm just going to line this up on my grid. Each square is an inch. So 1, 2, 3.5. I put a mark. And then I'm going to angle cut from here to the bottom corner. You can do it with scissors or your trimmer. I'm going to grab my trimmer really quick because it's much straighter that way, usually. Line up the pencil mark there and the point in the groove. So you got to keep both of them in the groove. Drop that down and then cut. So that just gives me, and you can just toss this, you don't need this. This is not the pocket, the other one is. It gives me an angle for a pocket. I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Now let's grab the book. So this is the inside front cover. And I am going to attach this one just on the bottom. And I'm going to center it because it does have a little bit showing on each side. I brought it in a way so that it doesn't interfere here in this part here. So I want it over here. So we're just going to add our glue on the bottom. That way we can add our pattern paper to cover the whole page later. So attach it down here at the bottom about, just a 1/16 or, even less from the edge. You don't want it sticking out of your cover. Burnish this right here. Clean up that glue that came out a little bit there. Pop this down and burnish. Tape to keep it from having anything hang up on it. Here. And I need another little piece. Okay. So this will glue up like that. Okay, whoops, that shows. I don't want that tape showing. So I snipped it a little bit off. Okay, there we go. Now then, this pocket here will attach just on the left side. And so it's left open from the top all the way down. And you decide where you want to put it from the top. And I am probably going to put it about, let's see, looks like about 2 inches down. Okay, so glue on the flat, on the 1/2 inch. Pull this one back. I'm going to line this one up at the 2 inch mark right there. Line it up on the side. Burnish that down like that. And there you have that. Now then, I did not cut. How long is this? This is from the other album, 9 inches. Okay, so I need to add that. A booklet, 9 inch by 12. Score your 12 at 6. So we'll do that really quick. I'm going to cut it over here on the side. So that's 1 sheet of cardstock for that. Actually, I'm going to bring it over here and cut it. I'm running out of room on the other side. So cut it at 9. 12-inch piece of cardstock, cut it at 9. And then we're going to score it in half. On the 12-inch side at 6. fold it in half and burnish. And then I like to take my corner rounder and round the 4 corners on the outer edge. So for the inside of the album cover. So now we're ready to do the back side. So let's flip it over. We're almost done making our base for this, and I will upload this video before I even start doing the patterned paper, so that those of you who are wanting to make the World of Oz can go ahead and do that. Make your own album if you weren't able to pick up the Uniquely Creative one. So let's see here. We're going to have a waterfall and a pocket. So let me grab the pieces. So this is the inside back cover. Okay. So cut this from a scrap and these from 2 sheets of a full 12 by 12. So let's get the scoreboard. So you cut 1 that's 3 1/4 by 9 for a pocket, and you cut 3 that are 6 by 6 1/2. This is just going to be a regular waterfall of 3 mats, but you can put full 4 by 6 photos in it. So on your 3 1/4 by 9, put the 9 in at the top, score it a 1/2 inch, and at 8 1/2, turn it to the short side and score it a 1/2 inch. That's the pocket. These guys that are 6 by 6 1/2, you have 3 of them. Put the 6 1/2 in at the top and score it a 1/2 inch. This will leave you with a 6 by 6 waterfall flap. 1. Okay, and the last one. There's no closure piece on this. You could add one if you wanted to, like a magnetic one, but I just use my tags and things that I put into the pocket to hold these down. So let's do the pocket first. Again, miter the corners at where they intersect there at the corner. Cut them at an angle. Waterfalls, I don't miter those. I don't do a lot of mitering on things I glue down, my pages and flaps. I just leave them solid. I mean, if it looks like there's going to be a lot of bulk, then I will. These you want to miter so that they lay down a little bit flatter there in the corner. Okay, so again, this one I'm just going to glue on the bottom. See how it fits. Same thing. I kind of left it where it has space at the bottom from each side to make sure it doesn't interfere with the cover. So glue on the bottom, 1/2 inch of the pocket here. And then I'm going to center it. It's like about 1/8 of an inch on each side. Make sure it fits on the bottom, but without going over the cover out. You don't want to extend it out. And again, I'm just attaching the bottom until I can build up all my pattern paper in there. Get all that done. Tape. Okay, so there's the pocket. It's like that. Now the waterfalls. Okay, we're going to want to put them down on the patterned paper. So what we're going to do, we're just going to fold and burnish at this point. And not attach. So when we do put our pattern paper in, then we would attach one to the top, the next one underneath, 1/2 inch down, the fold along the 1/2 inch, the bottom of that 1/2 inch, and so on. So those go inside there. So I'm just going to clip those on to hold them in place for this. Now I did make other tags and booklets, but we can do that when we're doing the decorating and use our scraps and stuff. So that is the base album here for all our, if you want to use it for the World of Oz, or if you want to make it for the World of Oz, or you already got your album for World of Oz and then you want to make another one, and join me in using the Alice in Wonderland, the Curiouser and Curiouser by Graphic 45. That's what I'm going to be using next to finish this up. I just got it in the mail yesterday and I haven't opened it up yet, so I'm excited to see what it looks like. So thank you so much for following along on this base album construction. I'm going to go ahead, like I said, and upload this, share the link and everything to that, so you can use it to make this album if you wish, or you can wait and join me for the patterning of this one. But this size will work for this. Just made the spine bigger so that we have more room. I want to thank you all for joining along. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, so you'll know when I'm working on this one. Click the bell, that sends you a notification. Give me a thumbs up for a like, share my video so others can join us, and as always, shop at countrycraftcreations.com, and I will see you again in a few days, I hope. Bye-bye.